Hi everyone, this is Ravi again. So in this session I'm gonna explain how can we manage multiple teams under one single project. That means let's assume if I take example of business team and the QA team, right? So for a project there will be a concept of QA testing and UAT testing. QA testing is performed by QA team and UAT testing will be performed by business team. Okay, so I'm going to discuss how do we manage the entire project and how do we separate or how do we segment out the UAT team work with the QA team work. So if you take an example of e-commerce project, let's say this is an e-commerce project. Okay, so the work items which are like epics, user stories, bugs, features and test cases. So the UAT team or business team will have their own user stories and test cases, right? For example, and let's assume as a QA team, the scope of the epics and user stories and test cases are different from the business teams. Sometimes both the teams might work on the same epics. Okay, how do we basically separate these work items between UAT team and QA team? Yes, Azure DevOps has a very flexible model where you can actually segment or you can separate UAT team work and the QA team work. Okay, you can manage the work items at UAT team level and also you can manage the separate work items at QA team level. And also you can manage the common work items within both the teams. Okay, and you can create the boards, customized boards where you are actually tracking your user stories, right? The storyboard. Okay, so you can create a separate storyboard in Azure DevOps for UAT team. You can customize it according to UAT team. And you can create a separate storyboards or boards in Azure DevOps for QA team, and you can customize according to QA team. So it need not to be a same board as the UAT team, right? You can create a separate board because the business team understands the testing process in a different way and QA team understands the testing practices in different way. So the testing practices might be different followed by the business team. So that's why business teams might want to customize the boards according to their practices, right? In the same way, you can manage the entire backlog items, and you can manage the planning according to the business teams. That means you are creating a backlog and you are managing the backlog items and planning according to UAT team under a same project. In the same way, QA team can create their own backlogs and planning under same project. Okay, and in the same way, UAT team can maintain the Sprint Taskboard according to their practices. That means they can manage their iteration items, they can manage the sprint tasks, they can manage the work details and styles separately or differently compared to QA teams. Okay, and also the dashboards. UAT team probably would like to see some metrics which are not required by the QA. So UAT team can maintain their own dashboards, then their own metrics separate with the QA dashboards under a single project. In the same way, templates, bug templates, user stories templates, and feature templates and defect templates can be maintained separately for the UAT teams compared to the QA teams. Okay, and there might be some work items that UAT team working on that particular work item or user story or epic and QA team also. So you can manage some of the items commonly in the basically commonly for the UAT and QA team under a project. In the same way, you can track the delivery plans, common delivery plans between UAT and QA teams. Okay, so this is what I'm going to show you exactly in Azure DevOps. How are we managing this separate teams? Okay, so let me go to Azure DevOps. Okay, this is my Azure DevOps personal tenant. Okay, let's assume this is one project which I have created for a common goal. Okay, so now UAT team and the QA team has a common goal to basically deliver this project. Okay, first let me go to the backlogs. Okay, so if you see the backlogs, so I have epics. Okay, what are all the epics I have? There are 2 epics corresponding to QA. So QA epic 1, QA epic 2. I just titled the epic as you understand. Okay, I have titled the epics, you should understand. Okay, so if you see, there are 2 epics which are related to QA team. Okay, and there are 2 epics, UAT business epic 1, UAT business epic 2, related to business teams that UAT, basically that business wants to work on. And there is one epic which actually QA team and UAT team commonly would like to work on. Okay, in the same way, features. So there are some features under these epics which UAT team would like to work on. If you see UAT business feature 1, UAT business feature 2, these features would like to test by the business teams. Okay, and QA feature 1 and QA feature 2, these 2 features would like to validate by the QA teams. Okay, in the same way, there is a common feature that are available, which is a UAT QA common feature. That means this feature basically QA and UAT both teams would like to test it. Okay, in the same way, user stories. There are a lot of user stories like QA user story 1, 2, 3. These 3 user stories are validated by QA. In the same way, UAT business scenario 1, UAT business scenario 2, UAT business scenario 3. These 3 scenarios are the stories that will be tested by UAT. Okay, so this is my entire work items. These are all my entire work items. In the same way, there are some bugs that should be validated by UAT team, and there are some bugs that QA team would like to validate. Okay, now how can I track these business or the UAT team items separately under a same project? I don't want to create a different project. Under same project, I want to track business items or business related user stories separately and the QA user stories separately. How can we achieve this goal? Okay, so Azure DevOps is very flexible. You can create a separate boards, you can create separate Sprint Taskboards, you can create a separate teams, and you can create separate areas. Okay, so let me go to first project settings. So if you go to project settings, I have created 2 different teams. One is QA team, the other one is business team. If you see in the QA team, I am the only person, and if you see in UAT business team, along with me there is another person called Sudharan. Okay, you remember this name? This is the person who will be a business team, who will be testing the items belong to only business team along with the common items. Okay, and now if I go to team configurations, okay, in the team configurations, okay, in the areas, there are, I have defined areas corresponding to QA team. If you see here, this is the QA team. The QA team has an area called loan origination, and if you see, UAT team has another area called booking. Okay, let's assume. So this is what I created. Okay, and now iteration. So I have iterations February, March, April. Now current iteration is February. So everyone UAT team and QA team commonly working on a February release goal. Okay, now let me go to work items. So as I told you, there are work items corresponding to QA and the UAT. Now let me go to boards. Okay, if a QA team member go to boards, then he will see only QA item. Okay, if you see here, I am seeing, let me just select features. Okay, what do you have? I have a QA feature 1, I have QA feature 2, I have QA feature 4, and also I can see a feature which is common between UAT and QA. I don't see any feature corresponding to business, right? UAT business. Okay, in the same way, if I go to stories, so this is my board. Okay, we are in board where we will be tracking every item, every user story related to your February release. Okay, if you see here, the user stories are related to QA user story 1, QA user story 2, QA user story 3, QA bug, and there is a common user story that we have seen in UAT also, right? So sorry, this is corresponding to both common. Okay, so when a team member corresponding to QA team logs into boards, okay, this is what I'll see. Okay, and if you see, the life cycle of the board is, first the any item is opened as a new, and that will be moved. If this is approved, then this item will move to active. That means once it moves to active, the developer will start working on it. So once this is built and the build has been delivered, then this will go to resolved, and once the user story is resolved, that means it's ready for testing, right? Once the testing is done, it will be closed. Okay, this is the life cycle of the board in for the QA teams. Okay, let's see now. Let me log in. If so, Sudharani, I told you, right? Sudharani is the person who is working for the UAT team, business team. Okay, if you see here, I logged in as Sudharani here. Okay, if this UAT business team goes to boards, what does she see in the boards? If you see here, she can see only items corresponding to, only user stories corresponding to business. If you see, UAT business scenario 1, UAT business scenario 2, UAT business scenario 3, UAT bug 2, and also she is able to see the common user story that we also saw in QA teams, right? Now, if you see the life cycle, so the life cycle of the board is totally different. Why? Because UAT team testing practices or the requirement of the testings is different, because business team is very busy in spending. Basically, they are not actual testers. So they are busy in the business, basically looking into the actual operations along with the testing as well. So that's why, so the boards they want to create, let's assume they want to create a very, very detailed boards. That means if you see here, the new, earlier we saw it as a new, but here it is saying it as proposed, and that moves to active. From active, earlier we saw it as a resolved, but here we are making it as fixed. So that means entire this user story has been fixed and delivered, and now this particular item will move to ready for UAT. Earlier here in the previous QA, we don't have this particular state because UAT team wants to have another state, so they are moving it to ready for UAT. Now UAT team will start testing and then close it, right? And if you observe one more thing, this particular board has another swim lanes. What swim lanes you see here? I see there are 3 swim lanes. What do you mean by swim lane? Swim lane means the user story can be tracked column, right? You are actually tracking through horizontal columns, right? But now, sorry, vertical columns. But now swim lanes are means the horizontal lanes. That means So expedite lane is one lane where I want to move very priority items to the expedite swim lane, and there are some medium priority items that I want to track under a swim lane called standard. Okay, this will go in this particular swim lane only. Okay, and also there is another swim lane called parked. That means very least priority items I would like to track in this swim lane, right? So if you see here, there is another style. That means in QA we don't have all these things, right? Here these two are actually showing red. Why? Because this particular item is very high level priority. That means if the priority is 1, then I am applying the style card. That means if any item is high level priority 1, then that will be shown as red, so that you can easily understand. So if you, let's say this one I want to change it to high. Okay, priority high. Save this. As soon as I save, it turn into red, right? So that means the business team is very busy and they want a clear defined process so that they can easily understand the requirements, or they can understand the basically a clear vision, right? So this is a board corresponding to UAT team. Okay, and now let me understand backlogs. Let me go back to QA team. So Ravikant Edmakanti, he is in QA team. Let's assume. Okay, if I'm in the same project. Okay, in QA also I'm same project. If you see swim lane, let me go back again. Let me show you again. Okay, I'm in UAT swim lane only, right? That is my project, right? And also if I go here, this is also same UAT swim lanes. Okay, now let me go to, we understand the boards, how the boards are maintained separately for the QA team, how the boards are maintained separately for the UAT team. This is UAT team, right? Done. So let me understand the backlogs. So if you see here, I can see whenever I click on backlog, I see the backlog items only corresponding to QA. See, QA feature, QA feature, and this is your common feature also, right? And let's say if I want to see the stories, user stories, if see user stories also, I see only QA related user stories, right? Let's Sudharani log in and see in the same project, if she go to backlogs, how does she see the backlogs? See here, I have selected stories. I can see only UAT related stories, UAT story 1, 2, 3, but I can also see a common user story which will be worked by both QA and UAT teams, and I can see only UAT bugs, right? So this is how you can manage the backlogs differently for both the teams. Now let's understand Sprint Taskboards. So sprint means whenever there is a release, that means a release. If I talk, either it might be iteration, release, or a sprint. Okay, so let me go back to QA team and go to sprints. So my sprint is February release, right? So mine is a February release. So if you see here, the sprint has only QA related items. If you see QA bug, QA user story, and also you have a common story. Now the QA is writing tasks for each story, right? For this story, analyze requirements, author test cases. For this story, this is a common story. Let's leave it about. Okay, this is QA story 1, analyze requirement, author test cases. Okay, so now these tasks are defined by the QA team for the QA user stories. And if you see here, this is your planning. Basically, if I want to map any item to this one, you can just drag and drop February release. I just dragged into February release, right? So this is how you can plan. Basically, any item, if you want to, I want to move this item to February, you can move this item to February. Or if you want to move this item to May release, you can move this to May release. No, I don't want to move it to May release. Okay, let me go back here. I want to put it back to February release. Okay, done. So this is how I manage the sprints. Okay, so this is my QA sprint taskboard, QA sprint taskboard. Okay, now let Sudharani log in to sprints. If you see the sprints here, so it has entire different settings that has been customized by the UAT team. What if you see, first of all, if you observe, you can see all UAT related user stories, UAT related bugs, and if you see the tasks corresponding to each story. Okay, for this story they are saying execute business scenarios, and business team validate business scenarios, derive business scenarios. You see here, derive business scenarios, right? UAT common story, and again derive business scenarios, author test cases. So, and also it has a style sheet where they're actually highlighting priority 1 user stories and tasks into red color, and least priorities they are actually, no sorry, I think yeah, least priorities they are highlighting as green color. And also there is one work, actually they want to track the work details. Okay, that means out of total entire, basically Ravikant has been assigned with the work of 10 of available 40 hours. Out of 40 hours he is occupied with the 10 hours. And Sudharani, she is actually UAT, she is only doing UAT, she is from UAT team. Her capacity is 40 hours, but she has 30 hours of work. That means 10 more hours of work she can be assigned, right? So this is how UAT team customized their sprint task board in their own way. Okay, so now, but we are in same project, we have not created different projects to track these things. Okay, and now dashboards. Okay, so how the dashboards, see, UAT team doesn't want to track the QA team work items, right? So because that is not necessary for them, they want to track their work items. In the same way, QA team would like to track or derive the metrics corresponding to their work items, not the UAT work items. Okay, let me go to dashboards now. Okay, I am actually in QA team. Okay, if the QA team logs into that particular project and see the dashboard, so if you see here, I have my dashboard and I can see, I can see, so I should be able to see only QA dashboard. So whenever I log in, QA team will see the QA dashboard only. Okay, let's say if UAT, that is Sudharani, logs into the same project, and if she go to the dashboards, what does she see? Okay, see here, she is seeing only one dashboard, UAT dashboard. She doesn't have any QA dashboard, and she has only UAT related. So this is one metrics where she is actually tracking how many user stories has been assigned, and she is tracking burn down, and she is seeing how many user stories are in which state. One is in new, another one, 2 are in active, one is in resolved, right? So that means the UAT team is tracking their own items. They are not at all tracking the QA items. Being in the same project, she is in the same project, but she can see only dashboard corresponding to UAT team only. In the same way, QA team can see the dashboard corresponding to their particular items only. Okay, so this is how you can track or you can see the health of your work. Okay, that is done. Now templates. So if you see here, so let's assume as UAT team. So UAT team generally busy. Okay, Sudharani wants to. So now UAT team would like to create a bug. because business team is very busy. They are actually involved in daily operations. Now they don't want to spend a lot of time, right? So they can create their own templates to pre-fill some information. Let's assume, so Sudharani, who is from business, wants to raise a defect. Okay, if I click here, create a bug, and then if I go here and see the templates, she can see a template called UAT bug template. So, okay, this template has been created under UAT, okay, team. And if she select this, it automatically pre-fills couple of things. The subject is filled as UAT hyphen and these things, right? This particular defect belongs to only UAT area, and priority and severity is selected by default as high and high priority, because UAT business team is raising means it's very important for us, right? So, and also you can see system information. UAT team does not want to give, business team does not want to give system information, right? So the system information also automatically populated. Whatever the information you want to populate, you can populate everything. So this is how you can manage the templates, corresponding templates to UAT team. In the same way, QA team can maintain their own templates. So there is no basically conflict between the UAT team templates and the QA team templates. So this is how QA team. So we are working under same project with the same common goal, but we are creating different boards. We are creating different backlogs. We are creating different sprints. We are creating a different dashboards, right? And if you see, this is a plan. If as a project manager, if I want to track a plan, I can track a plan of both the teams. If you see here, QA team, UAT team, and these are all the features that are related to QA. What is the status? What is your target date? What is your effort, right? In the same way, UAT team, what is the feature 1, feature 2, feature 3. In the same way, if I want to track the user story, okay, see here, these are the user stories corresponding to QA team. If you see here, this is QA team. In the same way, you can track UAT team's user stories also. So because as a project manager, they don't want to track only QA team work, right? They want to track both of them, QA and UAT teams. You can track them, right? So this is how you can basically segment, or you can separate the work of UAT team and QA team. Sometimes QA team does not want to. So this is how QA team does not want to expose some of the unnecessary information to UAT team to avoid the confusions. In the same way, UAT team does not want to expose some of the information to QA team and confuse them. So this is how you can segregate, you can separate the work between the teams within a same project. Okay, so hope you all understood the concept, and this is really very important concept in the organizations. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can just get back to me. Thank you.